p.m. to 7 p.m. for trading time.
Welcome to This Week in Anderson County. I'm your host, Chad McNabb. We thank you so much for joining us this week. We have a special topic. We're going to be talking about mortgage and real estate here in Anderson County, the opportunities for all of you at home that may exist. We want to thank right out of the gate our sponsor, 10 Bank, for sponsoring the show. They're there for all your needs, whether it be mortgage, business. Please check them out if you're in the market for any of those things. We're going to get right to it with our first guest, Ms. Lori Wilson, who is a 10 Bank mortgage officer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate you getting out on a very cold night, rainy night. Lori, before we get going and talking about mortgages and all types of opportunities for our viewers, just tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay. Well, I'm native to Anderson County. I live in Clinton.
Okay.
Work in Oak Ridge, of course. We have several different branches, but I work in the Oak Ridge branch. I have two children, Reagan and Jack Hammer, who is famous around Anderson County.
Yeah.
Anybody who follows Blaze basketball knows my son.
Well, we actually had E.T. on a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
that is unreal what Blaze is
E.T. is
doing.
amazing.
He's the best.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
done so much for Clinton City Schools and for the athletic program.
Absolutely.
But I've come from a finance background. I used to work at 21st Mortgage and got out of that for a little while and went and did some retail management with the Verizon store in Clinton.
Okay.
And then got back into the banking industry and came to 10 Bank. This, I guess it's been 3 years ago. I was just started my fourth year in December.
Very cool. And 10 Bank, all of us from being a native Anderson County myself, we're familiar with 10 Bank. It's been just a pillar of the business community. I know the focus is having on a lot on local directors and local management, really part of the community. If you could speak to that as sort of the mission of trying to really keep it here in the community.
Yeah, 10 Bank. It's made up of just the board of directors. Well, in the beginning, there were a group of bankers who got together who were just kind of tired of the corporate banking world.
Right.
And decided that they wanted to maintain control within the community. And so they got together and formed 10 Bank, and we have a local board of directors who make the decisions as far as the bank is concerned. And it's just been a great asset to the community. They're very involved in just philanthropic efforts throughout the county, giving to different organizations, and just very charitable. So I feel blessed to work for such a great company.
Absolutely, and that it is. It's so refreshing to be able to bank with people that actually live in the community, you know them, as opposed to some bank you don't have any familiarity with. And how many locations does 10 Bank currently have?
We have two in Oak Ridge, we have one in Maryville, one in Farragut, and one off of Cedar Bluff. So we have a total of 5 locations.
5 locations, okay. And you were talking a little bit about your background. What made you really want to get involved in the mortgage industry? It's a pretty specific, line of work.
Well, 2008 made me want to get out of it.
Oh, I want to talk about that. I was around for that. That was a difficult time.
Yeah, well, it hit just right because it was right after I had my children that happened. And so it was I was out of it anyway. I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple of years, but went and did the retail sales thing. But then I saw Heather. I was involved with the Chamber of Commerce there in Anderson County, and I happened to run into Heather. We went to church together, but we were active within the chamber as well. And she just happened to mention, she was like, hey, when are you going to you need to come work for me? And I said, well, I thought about getting back into banking a little bit. And it just sparked conversation. And the more I learned about 10 Bank and just the thought of going to work for Heather, because she was a dear friend and
Sure.
really thought a lot of her and still do, it just appealed to me.
Is this
getting out of
Heather
retail.
Emmert?
Heather Emmert,
Oh, yeah, great lady.
She's super. She's just very knowledgeable and down to earth, and it was just a great opportunity to get out of that retail environment because, the hours are crazy, and I'm a single mom with 2 kids,
Sure.
so you can imagine I was missing games and, not really in control of my schedule,
Sure.
whereas with the bank and being an LO, you have a lot of control over your schedule. I'm not a 9-to-5 banker.
Sure.
I take calls. I was on the phone with the realtor last night till about 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Wow.
And on the weekends and so forth. So if there is a basketball game or something that I need to have my son or daughter someplace,
Sure.
I've got that flexibility. so that's what kind of got me back into it, along with the fact that just I've always really enjoyed helping people. So that I've liked kind of education too. I was originally an education major.
Oh, okay.
So the opportunity to educate people about the home buying process and to really help those first-time home buyers and to watch them get presented the keys to their first home.
Yeah.
It's a special thing. So
It really is. I actually went through the process myself about 5 or 6 years ago, and I want to get to that because it really is something that I know there are a lot of first-time hopeful buyers out there. There's a lot of exciting things happening in Anderson County. On the show, we try to highlight it every week, whether it's Main Street Oak Ridge or just all the new development. Could you talk to us a little bit about some of the new construction going on in Anderson County? Is it thriving like we see?
I mean, we need more. The demand for rooftops is just huge, especially if you want more retail business and so forth. So we're super excited anytime that we have a new developer that comes into town. I am extremely excited about the idea of Goodall Homes coming into Anderson County.
Okay.
Goodall, they're from Middle Tennessee. They're one of the best builders really in the area, in the southeast. They had started like in Nashville, and they were just booming in Nashville. And they moved into Knox County and just recently purchased Groves Park subdivision, which is on Tuskegee.
Yeah.
I have a really
close.
Tuskegee. Is that it?
I think you got it.
Yeah, it's the where the old Kmart, you
Right.
know, that road that goes beside there. But they have bought that subdivision and they're starting to develop it, which
wow.
brings new rooftops, new construction, and a very reputable builder. They offer like I think a 10-year builder's warranty.
Oh, wow.
Who does that? So to have that opportunity for them to be moving into Anderson County is super exciting. And then Patriot Development, which is owned by Dagan Green, he's with a real estate firm. They bought on my road, actually down the road from where I live. They opened up a subdivision called Patriot Place.
Okay.
And that's all new construction, and it's being built to honor the fallen, to honor fallen soldiers. So the idea is all of the streets are named after fallen soldiers.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of the project, once the subdivision is fully developed, they're going to give a house away to like a deserving veteran or a wounded warrior. So
I had not even heard of this.
Yeah.
That's an incredible
Yeah.
project. That sounds like major outfits that are coming right here in Anderson County.
yeah,
So,
I just talked to a developer yesterday. We actually had a meeting with him, and I can't say too much because
Sure.
it's still kind of on the DL. But there's going to be a new subdivision coming up near the Country Club in Oak Ridge soon,
Wow.
with a lot of new construction, beautiful, the plans that he's got in his mind that
Yeah.
are going to come to fruition are just really exciting.
Well, that is wonderful to hear. That's even better than I thought it would be as
Yeah.
far as all the prospects on the horizon.
Hey, Anderson County's a place to be. We've got some of the best schools in the state.
Absolutely.
And especially if you go into the Clinton area with Patriot Place,
Yeah.
tax rates unbelievably low for what you get in exchange.
Oh, absolutely. And really a perfect segue, speaking of Patriots and honoring our fallen heroes, one of the things that 10 Bank I know is involved with is a Home for Heroes program.
Yeah.
Wonderful program. I was doing some research on that. If you could just tell our viewers about what that consists of.
Sure. Well, in 2009, Homes for Heroes established itself in response to September 11 as a way to give back to local heroes. And when I say local heroes, that encompasses our military, past and present, police force, fire department, EMT, healthcare workers, and teachers. So it was established to help give back to them to make the home buying process more affordable. And it's really the largest group of affiliates in the nation. And my part in that as an affiliate lender is I pay for the appraisal fee up to $500 for qualified borrowers who fall in that heroes category.
Sure.
And then I can also set that my borrower up with different affiliates who are also involved with Homes for Heroes, like title companies that will waive certain fees, saving potential hundreds of dollars, and home inspectors who will waive, like give them a $50 credit for being a hero.
Sure.
Real estate agents and so forth. I know let's just say that you go to purchase a home and you're working with the Homes for Heroes realtor, for example. Once you close on that home, let's say you bought just to come up with a number, let's say you bought a $300,000 home. Once you close on that home, Homes for Heroes would mail you a check for $2,100.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's just part of that, part of their vision to make that home buying process more affordable. So, and that's just for working with an affiliate. You
Yeah.
don't have to join, you don't have to pay anything. There's no red tape. There's no big, hidden agenda there. It is literally, you work with an affiliate, you close on your home, and they send you a check for $700 for every $100,000 you spend.
Wow. That is just an absolutely wonderful program to hear about, and it really kind of goes to the core mission of 10 Bank as far as giving back to the community. I think it's a wonderful thing. And when we get back, I do want to talk about the mortgage process, the prospects for our viewers out there. Sure. We are going to take a quick commercial break. Right after this, we'll be back with more with Miss Lori Wilson of 10 Bank.
We are SAP of Anderson, and our mission is to prevent and reduce substance misuse among youth and adults in Anderson County. Prevention is providing information and building skills, but it is also providing support, changing access, changing consequences, changing the physical design of the community, and modifying policy. What role will you play in preventing substance misuse? Find out more at asapofanderson.org.
Well, my name is Carmel Beatty, and this is my son Lachlan, and he's 4. He has Down syndrome. And a couple of years ago, we looked for a program for him to attend a daycare or a preschool, and we really weren't prepared for the obstacles that we encountered when we were looking for a program for him, just because he's not on the developmental level of a typical child. But we found the Early Learning Center, and without hesitation, they said they would be happy to have him, they would be happy to serve him, and he has really enjoyed coming here. He's been here almost 2 years. He's thrived in their program. They don't hesitate if they need to make adaptations for an activity for him to participate. We've always tried to just form his life around him being a typical child, that he's not different from the other kids. And that's really the way we're treated here, and it's really helped our family to also see him, as just like any other child. The Early Learning Center is definitely a family, and we couldn't be happier with our services here and the time that we've spent here.
Oh, hey, bud. Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
With Gary and Todd?
Yeah?
I've been meaning to ask you, is there any drinking going on in this crowd?
No.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't. I'd do anything to keep you safe.
Okay, I will.
I hope this is working.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I am for the child who lives in motels, cars, and shelters, now in foster care, a group home, where he sleeps not on a bed, but on a temporary cot. He is the child I am for. I am a CASA volunteer. I am you.
Thank you for staying with us. We're going to continue our conversation now with Ms. Lori Wilson, the 10 Bank mortgage officer. We were talking before the break about getting ready to sort of start talking about mortgages. Before we get to that, 10 Bank, it's a full-service bank. What type of loans does it offer? I imagine just across the board.
Gosh, 10 Bank itself offers just about anything that a traditional bank would. I work in the mortgage department, which is 10 Bank Mortgage. We do secondary market lending, and I can give you a whole bunch of acronyms that are absolutely nothing.
Sure. Yeah.
But in a nutshell, we do loans for veterans. We do VA loans, which would not require any down payment, which is really nice. If you have a veteran with a service-related disability, there's no fee involved either. Like they waive the funding fee and so forth. We do zero down loans. Some of them are, you'd be eligible if you're looking in a rural area. I know when I bought my first house on my own, I did a rural development loan. Okay. So it's zero down.
And that's, so the rural development loan, you don't have to have any money up front.
No down payment. And if your seller pays your closing costs, like I came to closing with nothing and bought a house, which was fantastic. It's a very, the interest rate's fair, it's just a really great program. But now you can't go into Oak Ridge City and use a rural development loan.
Right. So to qualify that, you would obviously have to be buying in a rural area, first-time buyer, is that?
Doesn't have to be a first-time home buyer. You can't make too much money. That's the thing.
Okay.
You
So
have to fall within that sweet
bracket.
spot. Yeah, income bracket. But like I live in Clinton, so it was a perfect, newly divorced, single
Yeah.
mom. It was a perfect loan for me.
Right.
And it's a really good fit for a lot of people. But if you're wanting to be more in the city, then we can do a different type of loan and pair it together with like a grant to
Sure.
still get you a zero down payment loan.
There's actually grants out there.
Yeah, there's THDA grants, which
Okay.
there's another acronym for you. But there's lots of different options. There's loan, if you just want to do a regular loan, you don't want to have to do the grant. The grant, you do have to pay it back. A lot of people don't realize that.
Oh, I didn't know. Yes.
Yeah. It kind of comes down proportionately, the longer that you have it, the less you have to pay back. But let's just say you got in a pickle or a bind and you had to sell that house quick, you'd have to pay that back.
Okay.
And it goes for 9 years. You have to pay a portion of it back, and after
I
9
see.
years, it's forgiven.
Okay.
But that can be an issue. So it's something to be aware of at least. you
Sure.
know. But we have FHA loans, which are it's a 3.5% down payment.
Okay.
And then you have your regular.
And that's very
conventional
common, the
loans.
FHA.
Tons of people do
Okay.
FHA. Yeah.
So-
That's usually what people couple together with those grants.
Okay.
The great thing about FHA is it lets you borrow more money. Your debt to income ratio, which is your income versus how much
You
you've
got
got
going
going
out.
out in bills.
Yeah.
So that debt to income ratio with FHA is a lot higher. They'll allow you to borrow a lot more money than a regular conventional loan
Okay.
will. So a lot of and the credit score doesn't have to be quite as quite up there with the conventional loan. A lot of times with FHA, they're a little bit more lenient. In other words, so it's a great product. Especially the debt to income ratio is what usually drives people in that direction because they do allow you to go up to 55% of your gross income.
Okay. Wow.
with
So
debt.
quite a bit of flexibility there
a lot.
under the FHA.
Yeah.
Now, what is it? We hear a lot about fixed rate mortgages and adjustable rate. What's the difference between those?
Well, your fixed rate mortgage, that's what I focus on. That's what I do with the secondary lending. It's fixed the entire length of the loan. So if you finance your house for 15, 20, 30 years, that rate that you start out with at day one is that rate 30 years later.
Okay.
So let's say that we flip, just go back to the early 80s when rates peaked at like 18%. Let's say we have a repeat of that. You're locked in at 4.5 today. Even if rates go up to 18%, you're still going to be locked in at that rate.
Wow.
You're not going to have to fluctuate.
Which is huge.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a huge
for-
deal. Yeah, exactly. The adjustable rate, just what it says, it's adjustable. So it's going to go up and down. It's going to fluctuate. And typically they're shorter term loans. Like an armed rate or whatever. It's going to be armed for a certain amount of years. So. To me, I think the fixed rate loans are the way to go if you're planning on staying for any length of time.
Just to have that protection
Yeah,
from the
absolutely.
volatility of the market.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Of course, there's usually a cap on how much those adjustable rate mortgages can move at any given time. They
Right.
can't just jump up, that all at one time. But still, having the fixed rate, you don't have to even think about it. You don't have to worry about it. It's fixed for the length of your loan.
Right. And something else I know 10 Bank does, it might be a little bit out of your division, but it's something that I think our viewers would find interesting is the refinancing process. I imagine that 10 Bank does help people with that, where if
They
they're
do.
in a situation that they need to take a fresh look at.
Yeah.
How does that process work if someone's interested in that?
10 Bank's great because they offer such a wide variety of products, the refinance being one of those. There's several different options available. I do refinance loans.
Okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I can do those, but
Yeah.
10 Bank can do different ones too.
Sure,
They can
okay.
they can offer different products, but the ones that I do would be either what's called a rate term, which
Okay.
means you're going to either try to get a lower interest rate or you're going to try to stretch out the term or shorten the term. So it really depends on what your goal is. If your end game is you want a lower payment, then you may want to stretch that loan out, to 30 years.
Okay.
If your interest rate was 8%, then you may want to drop it down, and
Sure.
get that payment lower. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. There's also a cash out refinance, which
Okay.
takes the equity in your home and it can give it back to you to make renovations to your home or to consolidate debt.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different options
So
there.
some of our viewers that may have lived in their home 10, 15 years and they do have equity in it, they could come in and they have some projects and
Yeah.
that's available.
Know your interest rate. That's the thing. A lot of people have no idea that they're paying 8%,
It's true.
And rates are a little bit higher right now than they were, when we were in recession, of course, because
Sure.
they bottom out and, to help out during the recession time. So they're kind of climbing back up a little bit and leveling out. But still, compared to where we've been prior to 2008, they're still very low. So if you need to know your interest rate, if you bought your house 15 years ago, you want to look and see what your rate is, because if nothing else, you don't have to stretch out your loan. You don't have to stretch out that term. You can finance it for 15 years or whatever. But dropping that interest rate down is going to save you a lot of money on
Sure.
payment. And then if you want to put that extra towards principal that you're used to paying anyways, if you want to apply that, then you could get that loan paid off in no
Right.
time.
So you're advising all reviewers check your interest rate.
Yeah, you
Just
don't
take a
know.
look at it and see what you're doing with, and
Absolutely. Know where you're spending your money.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Something else that the 10 Bank offers that you do see a lot on TV are reverse mortgages. Now I know that's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Could you talk a little bit just generally about what those are?
Sure. A reverse mortgage is a perfect product, and that's not my area of expertise, but I can kind of give you an overview of it. It's a really good product if you have some equity in your home.
Okay.
Let's say, for example, let's say you own your home, and you
Sure.
live on this big farm, and you own your home, and you have no money outgoing, but you have something that requires, you have a health issue that requires you to have just tons of money going out for medication, and your income won't allow for it. You can get a reverse mortgage and actually get the equity out of your home, and it just pays you a little bit, however much you want to borrow against. It pays that to you in a monthly installment.
Okay.
And then they don't keep the house if you die. I mean, they basically pay back what you've borrowed
I see.
against it
Okay.
once something happens to you and your family has a time to get that refinanced or whatever that they want to do. It's really good also if you have, let's just say that you go to retire and you want to free up some income and you still owe on your house, you still have a house payment, but you know that, it's just not a big deal for you to leave it. Like, let's just say, you owe $30,000 on your
Sure.
house or whatever. You can just not make those payments. You can get a reverse mortgage to where it allows you not to make those monthly payments, and
Okay.
it just accrues onto your balance that you alrety hold on that mortgage.
I
Does
see.
that make sense?
It does, yeah.
It's kind of confusing. Like I said, it's not my area of
No,
expertise.
that makes
but-
sense. It sounds like a situational type loan that would be good for
it's great
some
for some
folks.
people. Yeah,
Sure.
great for some people. Just makes sense for a lot of people. If you need extra income, if you need that cash flow,
Mm-hmm.
a reverse mortgage, and you've got some equity in your home, a reverse mortgage is a great product for you.
Absolutely. And another program that the 10 Bank offers that I thought was really interesting was the bridge loans.
Oh gosh, yeah.
If you could just speak just generally about what
Yeah.
those are, because I think people may not be aware of them, and it would be quite a bit of help to some
Yeah.
people.
When people find out that 10 Bank offers bridge loans, their ears perk up when realtors hear about this. And the reason for that is because if you have a borrower, let's just say that you have a borrower who lives in California, and their job is relocating them to Tennessee, well, they're going to have to put their house on the market. And then, there's that transition period. If your house hasn't sold, but you need to get moved, are you going to look for short-term lease and have to move into an apartment, pay those moving expenses, put your stuff in storage, and then when your house sells, pick up and move again, try to find a house, and so forth? The bridge loan keeps you from having to do all that, because what happens is the bridge loan will pay off the old house. You go ahead and put it on the market, but we'll pay it off. We'll pay off the new house and buy it for you, and we'll consolidate that all into one loan.
Wow.
And you pay interest only until your old house sells.
Yeah.
So you do have to have some equity. They
Sure.
want you to be in about a 70% loan to value situation. You've got to have good credit and so forth. It's not, ideal for everyone.
Sure.
But for the right candidate, it's a great product because it allows you to list your home, move out, move into your new home, pay interest only, which doesn't just break the bank. A lot of people couldn't qualify to pay both payments, both full
sure,
payments.
sure.
But the interest only, makes it affordable. And then you don't have to pay to move twice, and for the storage fees, and you think about, you do have two sets of closing fees because you'd have to refinance the new loan
Right.
once the house sold. But is that going to be any more than short-term lease and deposits and first and last month's rent and utility hookups and storage fees and so
Sure.
forth, and then hiring movers twice?
Right.
It really makes sense.
And really speeding up the whole process, because
Yeah.
if your home's sitting on the market for whatever reason, this is a way to get it going a lot quicker.
They give you a year to sell your house too.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like you've got this, you're in this time crunch.
Sure.
They give you a 12-month period to get that house sold. So you can stage it and really take your time and get, you don't have to feel rushed. Because a lot of times when people feel rushed, they
Sure.
take less for their house than they could potentially get for it if they had time to really market it. So it gives you time to market your home, get it staged, and really get your top dollar out of your home when you do go to sell it.
Sure. And I wanted to talk about the mortgage process for how someone does apply for a mortgage. We bought our house about 6 years ago, and I didn't know what to expect. I thought you just walked in and they check your credit score, and it's just a simple process. And I wish I'd went with 10 Bank, and it probably would have been a much more
Yeah.
simple process. But What could you kind of walk our first-time buyers through how it works, what you need to expect,
Sure.
timelines, et cetera?
Sure. The first thing is don't be intimidated by the process. I get paid to stress. You know, I take the stress
Sure.
for you. Like,
Yeah.
I'll take care of all the stressful stuff, and you just sit back and just let me lead the way for you. So that's kind of what I always tell people. This is my job. I will take the stress out of it, and we will just walk you through step by step so you're not overwhelmed. So the very first thing, before you even go house shopping, really, you need to get financing in order, because you need to know what can I afford.
This is pre-approval.
Pre-qualification or
Pre-
pre-approval, yeah,
pre-qualification.
either one. But you need to kind of have an idea of what you can afford, because there's no point in going and falling in love with a $350,000 house
Right.
if you can only get pre-qualified for $150,000.
Or vice versa, settling for something when you
Yeah,
may.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thinking, well, I can only afford this much, but in reality, you could get
Sure.
approved for much, much more. So getting the financing in order is really your first step. 10 Bank is great in the respect that they are very innovative, and so they're trying to stay up with all of technology and so forth. So we have all of this online capabilities. We have a great website. You can go online and do your application right there. Our website, if you have a pen, is www.homeloanmagic.com. And that is our online application process. You can just fill out that application. I will run it through, you know, the proper process and so forth, and let you know if you're pre-qualified.
Okay.
And then we start the documentation process.
Okay.
And that's where you're going to have like your check stubs and your W-2 forms. And if you're self-employed, you might have to have tax returns and things like
Sure.
that. So, but that's not to overwhelm you. We take that one step at a time.
Sure.
So I'll give you a list and say, okay, now that you're pre-qualified, you go ahead and work on getting this stuff together for me. You know, and we do that, and then we submit that. At that point, we would order your title work and your appraisal, and we just kind of compile it all together, get it into the underwriters, and then they give us that clear to close, and we go to the title company and close the loan. So, you know,
Sure.
it's a process, but if you take it just one step at a time, it's not overwhelming at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that's
And
key.
things come up. You know, things come up
Sure.
along the way that they may ask for, hey, wait a minute, you know, this came up on your credit report. What is this? And you might have to do like a letter of explanation that,
Sure.
you know, that didn't belong to me, or, you know, something like that, or get some kind of documentation to prove, you know, that you didn't live at this address that popped up on your credit report or something like
Sure.
that. But we take all that in stride. You know, we don't just, you know, dump it on you. We try to make it,
Absolutely.
you know, a very stress-free process, a very smooth process, and we pride ourselves in customer service and communication. I know I have a real estate agent friend of mine who's coming on here in a few minutes, and she can tell you every Wednesday we communicate by email, letting you know exactly where that loan is in process. We communicate with both realtors on the buying and selling side, as well as the customer. So
Okay.
we really try to do a good job at communicating.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, you know, the letters of explanation, things with possible credit issues.
Yeah.
I think some people were perhaps intimidated to go in to see what they're qualified for, because maybe they did have a credit issue in the past.
Yeah.
Do you have programs for people with less than perfect credit?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have perfect credit
Right.
to qualify. But if you don't qualify, for example, I'll work with you. Like, I'll look at your credit report, and we have a scenario pricer, not pricer, but like a scenario program that we can run, and I can literally plug in there and say, okay, if you pay this down, this credit card down to this amount, and we wait 3 months, what would the credit score be?
Right.
And it kind of gives me an idea or a picture as to where we need to move the needle to get you in the position to buy. And so I work with a lot of people who have less than perfect credit, maybe don't qualify, and we just do the work and then
that's
come back and revisit.
slowly every couple of months checking it, seeing
Yeah.
where you're at. So
Sometimes we can get there pretty quickly, because
Yeah.
it can be something super simple like just paying down the balance on a credit card.
Right.
You know.
So people shouldn't be intimidated. Come on in, see what you
Yeah.
need to do.
Yeah, we're there to help everybody. We don't discriminate. Some of my best, most memorable loan closings have been with people who did not think that they could buy a house.
You had to help them through the whole
Yeah,
process.
but it's the most rewarding.
I was going to say that's got to be the most
Yeah,
rewarding, isn't it?
absolutely.
When
I can-
they get the keys to the
People
house.
pop in my mind when I tell this
Yeah.
story, because I can just specifically remember one single mom coming in, and she was just like, I don't know if I can even do this. Like, I really don't know
Yeah.
if I can do this. And it went really smoothly. We closed on time, and she was like, I cannot believe that we did this. Like, I can't believe I'm a homeowner.
Yeah.
And that's the most rewarding transactions, are the ones where the people really didn't think it was possible, and you just walk them through it and educate them about it and hand them those keys.
Sure, and You mentioned earlier 2008. You know, what made you want to get out of the business?
Yeah.
And, you're back in it. How has the business changed since that? Just as someone that kind of followed it casually, you heard in 2008 that people were probably getting in homes that they shouldn't have been in. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I mean, I guess in some cases, but we had this huge problem.
A lot of people lost their homes, yeah.
Yeah. Has regulations, I guess, tightened up a little bit, and banks are being a little bit more.
They got really tight.
Yeah.
Really tight, and now they're starting to loosen up a little bit.
Okay.
So to have that sweet spot, that happy medium, is where we want it. I mean, that's ideal for us.
Sure.
It's where we'd like to be. But yeah, after 2008, and you had so many people lose their home.
Yeah.
That's a big deal to have to start over, lose it. But they were loaning people money that they had no business loaning. I mean, I can remember when I bought my first house, and it will be, it's been 10 years this year. When I bought the house that I'm in now, they pre-qualified me for way more money than I would have ever been comfortable borrowing,
Right.
And so they did this to a lot of people and put them in a position to where, they just couldn't afford it. They lost. So yes, they did tighten up those regulations. They put a ton of rules in place. I always tease people and say, well, we need everything but a blood sample. I won't be poking you or anything, because that's really, honestly, we joke about it because it did get pretty.
That's what it felt like when I was buying. I thought I was going to have to go give a blood sample or something, but but that's probably not a bad thing. People are comfortable in loans that are appropriate.
And Tim, we're going to do what we have to do in terms of meeting those guidelines and meeting those regulations and so forth. But we try to make it as painless as possible. We try not to, make it overwhelming for you.
And before we let you go, I know that you're very involved in the community in other ways, Junior Achievement, Girls Incorporated. If you could just tell the viewers about some of the ways you give back, because it's
sure. Oh gosh, well, being a part of Tim Bank, you have to have a heart for giving if you want to work for Tim Bank, because they're very community, oriented.
No question.
But I teach Junior Achievement at Anderson County High School. I'm on the board at Girls Inc. I lead a networking group on Tuesday mornings at Bristol Park Apartments from 9 to 10:30 in the morning. I lead that networking group. It's called Networking Today. And not this year, but in years past, I've coached for Upward basketball as well.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty involved in a lot of different things, wear a lot of different hats. But it's fun, and I have to have that in my life. Like, I just feel like that I could never be somebody that just went to work and came home and didn't do something to give back, because I feel like I've been very richly blessed, and I think you're supposed to do that. You're absolutely supposed to do that.
Absolutely, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming on, Lori Wilson. It's been just a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Everyone,
Sorry, my hands are cold.
Oh no, you're fine. Everyone, please, if you have any kind of needs for what we've just talked about, go see Miss Wilson at Tin Bank. She'll be perfect and help you along the way. We want to encourage you to stay tuned. We're going to be joined next by Miss Tara Stanton of Keller Williams Realty. We're going to talk about the real estate market here in Anderson County, getting a lot of good information. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after this message.
My name is Sabrina Sumlin, and Healthy Families Tennessee has helped me a lot. As a first-time mom, they taught me a lot about newborn care, and they also helped a lot with development as my son got older. The person that comes is Leona, and she interacts with Jackson so well. And there's a book where she goes through different milestones I should be expecting and ways to deal with terrible twos or just different things, even when he first started eating solid food. And she makes sure to include advice for him as our son gets older, as well as the advice for me. In some of the simplest ways, just as having someone to talk to. When you're a stay-at-home mom and you're at home with a toddler all the time, you don't get out a lot. And so that's one just really simple way.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Introducing a new day of the week, someday. Now, everything you were going to do someday is on the calendar. Want to retire someday? You'll really want this. A My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov. You can estimate your future benefits and manage current benefits online. Millions of people have a My Social Security account. Get yours today, because someday is here at socialsecurity.gov.
The United States Air Force has a proud history of leading our nation in embracing diversity. We've been reaching new heights for years by understanding it's our individual experiences which make us strong. You can share in this success by seeking opportunities to learn and grow as a member of a diverse team. We are the world's greatest Air Force, not because of what we do, but who we are. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
We are SAP of Anderson, and our mission is to prevent and reduce substance misuse among youth and adults in Anderson County. Prevention is providing information and building skills, but it is also providing support, changing access, changing consequences, changing the physical design of the community, and modifying policy. What role will you play in preventing substance misuse? Find out more at asapofanderson.org.
In Vietnam, we took care of each other.
In combat, you look out for your battle buddy.
I'd do anything for my unit.
When things get tough, it's great to know
somebody's there for you.
Every step of the way.
DAV stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier, with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
Welcome back to This Week in Anderson County. I'm your host, Chad McNabb. We continue our discussion on mortgages and real estate here in Anderson County. We do want to thank our sponsor, Ten Bank, for sponsoring the show this week. We are so thrilled to have Miss Tara Stanton of Keller Williams Realty. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Yeah, and you're a real estate agent here in Anderson County.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about your background and why you got into real estate.
Yes, so about 10 years ago, I got into real estate, and I was with a different company, and I absolutely loved it, and then here came the crash.
Right, so you were
yes,
right around the...
Yes, right around the crash, and so I did not survive the crash in my 20s.
Oh, I understand.
So I have missed it ever since, and just decided, last year was the year to get back, and I joined Keller Williams in February and had a phenomenal, great year.
That's
so,
great.
Yeah.
And I guess things are much, much better. We were talking earlier about how things have improved since the crash. I guess it's a much, much better market, I guess.
Yes, much, much better.
Absolutely. And so I know you specialize in really, working with your clients, helping them get to that that point where they can buy. What do you really love about being a real estate agent here in Anderson County? It's a special place.
It is. Well, it's special to me because I grew up here.
Oh, okay. So you're from here originally?
Yeah. Well, I moved to Oak Ridge when I was 8, 7 or 8. I can't remember, 7 or 8.
Close
but
enough,
yeah, somewhere around there. And then I moved to Clinton in high school, and so both Clinton and Oak Ridge have a special place in my heart. And I know a lot of people here, a lot of people in the community. My kids go to school in Anderson County. There's a lot of reasons that I have ties to Anderson County and that I'm concerned about the well-being of Anderson County. But I do serve outside as well. A lot of Powell, Maynardville, Halls, West Knoxville, Maryville. I'm kind of all over the place. But Anderson County is my home.
Okay,
so,
great.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. So we got a lot of people watching that may be in the market to sell or to buy. If you could give our viewers a good tip if you're looking to buy a home right now.
Well, my first tip would be that you get with someone like Lori. She is just a rock star at what she does. Oh, yeah. But it's so important that you know your buying power. You can go look at a $100,000 house and you might be pre-approved and can fit into a $200,000. You might think you're in a worse situation than what you really are, but the only way to know is to get approved. And it might be vice versa. You might think you can get a $250,000 house, but you really could get $150,000. And so the best thing to do is to, because it's a seller's market and houses are going so quickly. And so if you find a house that you want to be able to jump on it. And so you need to know what your buying power is. So that would be my very first tip. The second thing is if you don't know who you should go to for a lender, get with an agent. I would love to help you. But you want to get with an agent because the agents, we all have the people we work with. And you'll be able to direct you and help you and guide you.
Absolutely. And like you said, that pre-qualifying process, I imagine it's just, as Lori was saying, it's critical, I guess, as far as knowing what you can and can't do, not wasting a lot of time.
A lot of sellers are requiring a pre-qualified letter with it well, like with your offer. So if you go in and you find the house that you want to buy and you put an offer in, they're requiring a letter, and the bank can get that for you. So Lori could get that for you, and have that letter so that your real estate agent or me could, you know, kind of help you with that and be able to just submit that contract with that letter, just showing the seller, hey, they can buy this house. Because if not, the next person will come along in like 2 hours and get it, and that's no joke. I've been standing in a house getting ready to write an offer, and they call me and say, we just accepted an offer. I mean, it has been kind of crazy.
That's
so.
got to be, can you probably get in some tough situations.
It does a little bit.
Yeah, wow. Well, that sounds like the market's going really well then, if that's within 2 hours, people are lining up to buy homes, it sounds like.
Yes, for sellers. For buyers, it can be a little bit of a challenge as the inventory is kind of low. So, you know, you don't really get the big pick and choose, but it is still a great time to buy. You know, it's just if you want the house, you better move. That's basically what it is.
Sure, and we talked about tip for buyers. If you have a tip for a seller, somebody looking to maybe put their house on the market, what type of things should they be thinking about?
So with the seller, you definitely want to get, you know, with your real estate agent, and you want to make a plan to get your house market ready. A lot of times people think, well, we'll get it really clean and do a deep cleaning, but that's not enough. Sometimes you got to declutter
mop a little bit
and think you're ready to go. But really, that sparkly, bright lime green fluorescent paint that you have on the wall may not be appealing. There may be a few things you can do that can help you. So really consulting and then making sure your home is ready when it hits the market, because they will skip your house and go to the next. You know, So you want to make sure that it's presentable.
What type of things make a home market ready, as far as I guess repairs, major problems?
Yes, you know, making sure that you've got plug covers on. I've seen homes that they don't even, they're missing. Yeah, do you know that one little thing that you need to do, but you're too busy working? And so the things like that.
My home is not market ready.
That honey-do list. Yeah. You need to make sure the honey-do list is done.
Absolutely.
And then definitely a deep clean, and then declutter. A lot of agents will say, go ahead and take down your family pictures, because as much as they mean to you, and that's great, and that they should, they may not. The person looking at it may not be able to picture themselves in the home if they feel like they're in your house. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. Well, that's great tips. I hadn't even thought of that with the pictures and things. I guess it can make little things can make a big difference.
Yeah, and declutter the fridge.
Declutter the fridge.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. And now I know this market, your profession, real estate, it's very competitive. I guess a lot of people in it, a lot of competitive people in it. What's the key to being successful in this industry?
I think standing out and being unique, being a servant. Definitely not being about my sale, but I'm definitely about serving other people and making sure that they get what they need. And I think that there's a lot of agents in our area that are the same. I have been surprised since I've been back this past year at just how amazing East Tennessee is, like the amount of just high quality realtors that are in this area. And I've just been honored to work with all of them. But I feel like you've got to be able to set yourself apart. And I feel like, in my opinion, you've got to be able to go the extra mile, because anybody can shuffle paperwork.
Sure.
But you have to really care about what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I wanted to talk about a situation that maybe someone owns their home and they think, I just want to sell it myself, or they just want to try to sell the home themselves. What's the benefit for someone to have an agent? What are they gaining from that, as far as if they just try to sell it themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Or try to just go buy it themselves. Either way, I mean, what's the?
And they absolutely can.
Sure.
But the reason that you would want a real estate agent is that we have access to so many different websites that will get your home marketed to be able to make a quick sale, and quick sell.
Sure.
And then the other thing is that we have access to tools where we can comp your house, which we call it comp, but it's comparison, and make sure that your price is right. Because I have seen for sale by owners where they don't have their home priced high enough, and they're going to take a loss because they refuse to work with an agent. So they think they don't want to pay a commission because they're going to lose money, when really they might get, pay a $5,000 commission, but could get $20,000 more for their home.
Wow.
So, just making sure that you're on point, and then we know the industry, and it's really,
It's going to be a home just like it down the street that sold for $30,000 more that they're not aware of.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
It's a lot of money to leave on the table by not talking to an agent.
And agents have, once an agent is known, there are people that will just come to you, you know, and if you're for sale by owner and you work, you know, at the local factory, how do people know to come to you? You know, I know you've got your sign, but we've got all these people coming from everywhere that may not see your home, you know, that we can tell, hey, it's right here, you know?
Sure, and I would imagine a lot of advertising on social media as well, things like that, where you're going to, if you're on, you know, Keller Williams or whoever, that's going to go out to a lot more people than just a sign.
Yes.
I guess.
And there were homes I listed last year that, you know, I already had buyers that were looking for the houses I was listing, so I was able to say, hey, I have this coming.
Okay, so you knew right ahead. You
Yeah,
got the
and it worked out with 2 of them.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes you've already got the people in your pocket ready to buy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're talking about all the positivity and the great things happening. Well, one thing I was curious about is, what do you think is the biggest challenge in the market right now?
Inventory.
Okay. And you mean just not enough?
There is not enough, especially in the 150 to 250.
Really?
Yes, I feel like that's a big market, and there's just not a whole lot, especially in the Oak Ridge, Clinton areas. In fact, I pulled some information, if you don't mind me using this.
A lot of stats for us.
Yeah, so right now there is 5,190 active listings in the whole MLS of Knox County, you know, Knoxville and surrounding areas. In Oak Ridge, of that 5,000, there is only 112 active.
Oh, wow.
In Clinton, there is only 93.
Wow.
So that kind of puts it in perspective. In Oak Ridge, the 150 to 250 range is 38 homes that are active. In Clinton, that would be 53.
Wow.
So we need houses, you know.
It sounds like it. That's
pretty
staggering.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess you conclude from that there's a lot of maybe upper, you know, above $250,000 homes and then lower.
Yes.
But that range, 150 to 250, sounds sort of like, you know, middle class type of. That seems like we've got to try to do something about that.
Yes. And do you guys have Roane County viewers?
Oh, well, yeah, we do. Yes.
You do. Okay. So Kingston, in case you're curious about Kingston, they have 90 active, and in that 150 to 200 range, they have 4 listings.
That is.
So, yeah.
I'm shocked by that. I really am.
I know.
So really, if you're in that price range, you've got options, and you know, by all means, seek it out. But wow, that is.
But that's why when you're standing in a home, what's showing it, it could be receiving an offer while you're showing it, because there's just not much out there.
That is unbelievable to hear. And I do want to get to some more stuff. What area in the county do you think is experiencing, you know, the most growth right now? It's a diverse county, but are you seeing more stuff in one area than the other?
No, really, I think as far as Oak Ridge, Clinton, I'd say Oak Ridge and Clinton.
Sure.
They're getting more, because I don't see the new subdivisions going in like Norris, Anderson County. At least I don't know of them if they are. I mean, I could be wrong. But like Lori said, we've got, you know, one coming on the west end, one coming right here. You know, we've got those. We've got Patriot Place. There's another subdivision if you're going from Clinton to Norris. It's on the left. It's a big subdivision up behind a church. There's one there. There's another one going towards Lake City, but still a Clinton address. And so I feel like Clinton and Oak Ridge are finally catching on, and we need new construction so badly. That, or we need developers to come in and take an entire area and just flip a home, because you can flip one home and it might be 150, 200, but it's sitting next to homes that are 70 or 80. You know, or run down or empty or vacant or whatever. So, you know, that want to revamp a whole community.
Sure.
You know?
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
It does. And, you know, just a lot more goes into it than you think if you're just driving by just looking at homes. But that makes total sense. I do want to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to continue our conversation about mortgages, real estate. We do want to thank 10 Bank again. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Sequoia Stewart. I have 2 girls that attend Girls Inc. They're twins, Sakari and Sadasia. And they attend pretty much every day of the week. They also do basketball with Girls Inc. They attend tumbling with Girls Inc. and softball with Girls Inc. They get to meet a lot of new friends. They don't exactly have to play with just friends from their school. Being with their sports program, I think that it's going to take them a long way. Just starting out the way that they've started out, and I mean them liking it, you know, they don't pressure, you know, the girls or nothing like that. So the benefit for me, for them going to Girls Inc. would be giving them the opportunity to expand, meet new people, explore new things, learn new things.
Lazy bones, loafing through the day.
All over America, we're no longer just sedentary, we're stationary. And that's bad news for your bones, because bones need weight-bearing activity to grow strong and stay strong. So get up, get out, get moving. A message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
Never heard a word I say.
We are SAP of Anderson. We are celebrating 10 years of prevention, powered by more than 11,000 hours given by volunteers like you. Together, we've reduced underage substance misuse in our county by 53.5%. Our brand has changed, but our mission remains the same. Prevention works.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That changed my life.
At that moment, it hit me. This is why I joined the Guard. We're soldiers, always ready to protect our country. But we've also got communities. Family, friends, neighbors who count on us. I couldn't believe it. I just saved a life to somebody from my hometown.
See what it means to be a citizen soldier at NationalGuard.com.
Welcome back to This Week in Anderson County. I'm your host, Chad McNabb. We appreciate you staying with us. We want to thank our sponsor, Ten Bank. I had some, Lori Wilson, you joined us again. I had some questions for both of you about continuing our conversation about mortgages. We were kind of alluding to Anderson County being such a diverse area between Oak Ridge all the way to Rocky Top. What areas are booming, and what do you think some of the challenges are for the whole community? I'd like to hear from you both.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the areas that I see that are kind of taking off, really, Oak Ridge with the Groves Park community, and of course there are several other communities in Oak Ridge, but the retail locations that are, that are coming in, that helps out. I know Clinton, it just seems like that community has been growing nonstop. I can remember, not too long ago, being in high school at Anderson County myself, because I'm, like I said, I'm a native of Anderson County, and there was nothing down through there.
I remember.
Yeah, and you drive down through now, it wouldn't even be recognizable.
Yeah.
Just, well, it's been quite a while, I'm not going to lie,
Well, no, I mean, I remember even Market Street, now they've got, the antiques, and there was nothing.
But it's crazy how quickly that Clinton seems to be taking off, and with the new riverfront development that they're thinking about doing, and the new bridge that they're working on, and the plans that they have in the works, I think it's just going to continue to boom and grow. And the manufacturing industry there in Clinton really draws a lot of people in. And I can tell you, that's one thing that I think with Patriot Development, they did a great job. They came in and did a lot of research and tried to find out what do people, what's the median income in this area? How many families live in this area? What would be a good price point for if we did a subdivision? What's the square footage that we need to offer? What's the price point we need to offer? And they really made an affordable neighborhood for people in Clinton. And so it's just taken off. I mean, if you've not been down through there, you need to go check it out. It is, that subdivision's going up.
Wow.
It's just taken off.
That is great to hear. And Tara, what areas do you see really?
Well, I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
I do think that, I know they're putting apartments in Oak Ridge.
Okay.
And I do wish that it was more of maybe townhouses or condos where people could have home ownership. The trend with Oak Ridge, there used to be the old strip mall, and then that was torn down, and then we had Oak Ridge Mall.
Right.
And then that was torn down, and now we have the retail shopping center that we have now. And I feel like to revamp Oak Ridge and to level up, that we need home ownership instead of apartments where there tends to be turnover, because where there's turnover, the businesses will turn over.
Sure.
I would love to see Oak Ridge be what it used to be, where the community, had communities within it, in the neighborhoods and the pools and the sports, and the people worked here and they lived here and they played here. And I would love to see that continue to grow, but I definitely think there needs to be more avenues for home ownership for that to reach its full potential.
Absolutely, and it's such an exciting time here in Oak Ridge. If fortunate enough to have Mayor Gooch on and Mr. Chin. And
They do a
it
great
is-
job.
Oh, doing a wonderful job as far as I wasn't sure if they would ever get the Main Street done because we'd heard so much about the mall, and it's just wonderful what they've been able to accomplish. Exciting time here in Oak Ridge. You were talking about the need for home ownership, and Lori, I wanted to ask you, you know, the advantages, both of you, the advantages of owning a home versus renting. Some people, I mean, it may seem obvious, but some people just, you know, if you own the home, you have to fix everything in it. They may just want to stick with renting, but there's some real advantages to owning a home as opposed to just paying out rent.
Oh gosh, yeah, because if you're looking for maintenance free, then look at a condo. Look at some place where they are going to take care of the maintenance of the exterior and take care of the yard and the landscape and so forth. But putting your money, investing your money in a home is like going and depositing that money in a bank.
Sure.
Because you're going to get a return on that money. Whereas if you're renting, you're meeting a need, you're meeting the basic need of shelter,
Sure.
but you're going to get nothing in return. You know, when you move from that apartment, you walk away with nothing. Whereas if
Sure.
you sell your house, you're at least going to recoup what you've invested in it. And then if you've built equity, then you're going to have that money in return. So it has a great rate of return. You know, it's an investment. I know people whose entire retirement savings is real estate investments. So they've got that rental income coming in every single month, and that supplements their Social Security income. And that's what they've done because of being self-employed. Like who I'm speaking of is a realtor, actually. You know, because of being self-employed and not really having like a pension or a 401k or whatever, she's invested in real estate properties and has all of these rental properties that pay her a monthly income every single month.
Yeah.
So it's an investment.
So I imagine you see it the same way.
I do. My dad did exactly what she said. He and his wife, they bought properties, you know, 20 years ago and rented them out all these years. And they still have some rental properties, but they use them as retirement. One other thing I would like to add to that is that normally your house payment for ownership is less than renting.
That's very true, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
You know, some of these apartments you'll see it's $750, $850,
Oh, more
$900 a
than that.
month, and you'll have a mortgage that's $600 with twice, you know, 3 or 4 times the room. So
Yes.
I could absolutely not rent a 3-bedroom apartment for what I pay
Oh,
for my home.
it's
every month.
unreal.
There's no way.
yeah,
It is.
It really is. And I wanted to ask you both here in closing, sort of what you love. I know I asked you about this, but what you love about being here in Anderson County. You mentioned that, but just the business community. It's a wonderful place, and as everyone helps each other, it's if you could speak about that. I just love bragging on our community.
It is. You mind if I go first on this one? So I feel like right now there seems to be, in especially the Clinton and Oak Ridge communities, a lot of people within city councils on both sides.
Yeah.
The communities themselves are interested in growing both sides of Anderson County.
Yeah.
And I think I've not seen this much interest and growth in years, and it excites me.
Absolutely. It's got to be that pro-growth, isn't it?
Yes.
It's very exciting. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you both coming on. We've had so much good information. One common thing that I keep hearing is you may not know what's available to you out there. Call, find out.
Yes.
There's all types of programs. Who knows what you might fall into. It's worth a call. So we encourage everyone that is in the market to check out 10 Bank. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you sponsoring the show this week. And if you're in the market for a real estate agent, please call Ms. Stanton.
Yes.
They will take good care of you. We appreciate you tuning in. We will be back next week live here on BBB Channel 12. Everyone have a good night.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
In Vietnam, we took care of each other.
In combat, you look out for your battle buddy.
I'd do anything for my unit.
When things get tough, it's great to know
somebody's there for you.
Every step of the way.
DAV stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
We are SAP of Anderson. We are celebrating 10 years of prevention, powered by more than 11,000 hours given by volunteers like you. Together, we've reduced underage substance misuse in our county by 53.5%. Our brand has changed, but our mission remains the same. Prevention works.
I am for the child who's had 7 addresses in a single year because she's in foster care, because her father abused her, and her mother couldn't believe her. She is the child I am for. I am a CASA volunteer. I am you.
Let's go fishing. You know it's really great. Let's